Yes, the live stream has started.
Thank you. Yep.
Okay, thank you everybody for being here. We'll call the meeting to order, and Ellie, would you please call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Stewart, Ms. Fargo,
Here.
Mr. Cook,
Here.
Ms. Grant,
Here.
Mr. Johnson,
Here.
Mr. Lazio,
Here.
Ms. Lemunian, here, Dr. Pandolfi, here, Ms. Stepp, Mrs. Weezy,
Here.
Dr. Wilson,
Here.
Michelle Wyckoff, or Miss Wyckoff.
Here.
Okay, thank you. We have a quorum. The next matter for those who wish to, we have the pledge and invocation of reflection. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, this week's Thanksgiving. And so I just want to talk about Thanksgiving a little bit. And I'm going to read my favorite Thanksgiving psalm. That's okay with everyone. And I find in these days and times that it's really hard to have a thankful heart sometimes with all the trouble that's going on in our world, all the trouble that's in our country, so on and so forth. And honestly, I have to fight for it some days to have a thankful heart. And so as a pastor and a leader, I have to lead the way for my family, for my children, my grandchildren, and that. And so I just want to encourage us all to fight our way through whatever, just to have a thankful heart, because that causes my face to smile when I have a thankful heart. And when I don't, it's like frowny. And so anyway, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to read this Psalm 100. It's called the Psalm of Thanksgiving. It says, "Make a joyful shout to the Lord, all you lands. Serve the Lord with gladness. Come before his presence with singing. Know that the Lord, he is God, and it is he who has made us, not we ourselves. We are his people and the sheep of his pasture. Enter into his gates with thanksgiving and into his courts with praise. Be thankful to him and bless his name, for the Lord is good. His mercy is everlasting, and his truth endures for all generations." So if you'd like to pray with me. Father in heaven, we stand before you this day. And so, Lord, I thank you that you're the giver of a thankful heart. And Lord, day after tomorrow is going to be a day of Thanksgiving when we gather around tables with family, friends, relatives, and all those things and partake of the goodness that you have given us. And so, Father, we just want to say thank you because you're the giver of all these good things. And so, Lord, I just pray for a thankful heart in this gathering today. And we just, we bless your holy name in the Lord's precious name. Amen.
Okay, now to have a shift not all the way from the sacred to the profane, but someplace in the middle we'll land. I'd like to have something besides invocation, but a reflection. I found two that are on the screen that I think are somewhat related. The first maybe can stand on their own, but they're intended to be a lead into what I think is an absolutely worthy matter for us to keep hold of. First thing is not everything that counts can be counted. Not everything that can be counted counts. Albert Einstein. And from the often quoted Anonymous, we have the caterpillar does all the work, but the butterfly gets all the publicity. They're just lead-ins for something I think is, of most importance and sometimes sadly forgotten. The most important asset of any library goes home at night, the library staff. So, next matter is to approve the agenda. Could we have a motion for that, please?
Yeah, I move to approve the agenda.
A second.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, we approve the agenda. Any comments or discussion? Right. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Thank you, we're passed. Next matter is the consent agenda that includes the minutes of the previous meeting and the staff report. May we have a motion to approve that?
So moved.
A second?
Second?
Moved in. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Abstaining? Thank you. Okay, are there any visitor comments?
No, there's not.
Okay. Awards and recognition.
Yeah, actually we do. Today we are celebrating Trustee Johnson's 1-year anniversary of being on the library board. It's been a great year with Bob. But anyway, we're very thankful for you being here and all the hard work you put in this past year. So, well, let's just give him a round of applause.
Thank you. I know one day this month, I just didn't remember the day.
All right, next our finance reports. Jeremy, please.
Yes. Good evening, Jeremy Wilmoth, Chief Financial Officer for the library. Just want to draw your attention to a few things on the financial report. Comparing the first 4 months of our current fiscal year, which would be July 1st through October 31st, with a year ago, the same time period, our revenues are up about $976,000. The majority of that increase is due to a delinquent taxes being paid primarily in Jackson County, but all 3 of the counties are higher than they were a year ago, as well as a grant that we have received in the current fiscal year. On the expenditure side, our total expenses are down about $323,000 when compared to last year. The primary reason for that reduction is more of a timing issue in library materials. We had paid some AV contracts earlier last fiscal year than we will this fiscal year. But our payroll is up about 7% or $4,000. Our library materials are down about $1.4 million, as I just mentioned. Library programs are about $210,000 higher than they were a year ago. And our library operations are up about $60,000 from a year ago. The net, including interest income and transfers in, we have revenues under expenditures of just over $25 million year to date in the general fund. I'd be happy to answer any questions you all may have on the general fund. We'll go on and move to the second sheet, which is the balance sheet. In terms of the balance sheet,
Are you referring to a different package? Because this is,
well, I'm looking at the financial report instead of the financial summary.
well, that's not what's on the screen.
Yeah, they're not in sync, Jeremy.
So if you're looking at the financial report, we need to get that on the screen.
Okay.
Can we go back to, I think you're talking about the detailed general fund statement, operating statement, which is in a different packet of board docs.
Yeah.
Can we get that up?
Yeah, I'm just not for sure which one we. Yeah.
Still not there.
We got it.
Yeah, I don't know if it was in the presentation. The two, basically complement each other, but just looking at what's in the presentation, it's a summary of just the current year activity, not comparing it to the prior year, which is what I was doing, but I don't think I have any more comments on those first 2 slides, unless someone has a question on it. Okay, the next slide is debt service. This is really just for your information. There's been no change from the prior month. Our next change in debt service will be when the principal and interest payments are due in February. Next slide is the capital project fund. And we have not had any expenditures on the Reading Rocket as of October of this fiscal year. In terms of the capital plan, we've spent roughly 27% of the budget at just over $4.4 million. And our current spending is in line with what we've reported from the prior month. So no significant changes to the capital plan. And the last slide, if there are no questions, it's just the health insurance fund. This is pretty formulaic. The revenue received is from the contributions from the library and the employees for health insurance. And then the expenses predominantly are for claims. And then we have a few premiums that are paid for administrative costs and our stop loss premium. So our revenues year to date are 1.5 million. Our expenditures are 1.4 million. So we have about $100,000 gain currently in our health insurance fund.
I have a question. Isn't this on a calendar year basis? The contract is on a calendar year basis.
Yes.
Not for sure.
We report this on a calendar or we report this on a fiscal, because that runs into two different plan years.
We report it on a fiscal year. This for the financial reports for the internal service fund. This is reported on a fiscal year. And we use Lockton's projections based on our claims and Monte Carlo analysis to come up with a budget figure for the fiscal year rather than the calendar year. And since we're, we have significant claims history, we're able to.
No, I don't want to get into the weeds. I guess my question is, should we just be reporting this on whatever the plan year basis is, whatever rolls in between the budget is going to wash out in the next fiscal period. But to understand what's going on with the health insurance fund, you really have to look at it on a plan year basis. I know we haven't talked about this in the finance, but anyway, we can do that. So, okay, move on.
Next slide is the personnel schedule that's been prepared. That's the end of our report.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I know we're working on the library for Riverside, and maybe the building committee will talk about this, and then we open North Oak, which that was a great opening this week. But how are we doing on the budget for the libraries, like opening, staying on target? I know you covered one of the slides pretty quickly. I just didn't know if we were on target for those.
Yes, so the capital plan is on target with the latest projections that we reported. We haven't needed to increase our projections. Those projections do have contingencies built into them, so we're still, as a staff, working through how much of that contingency will we need for unforeseen costs for that project. And as we get further along in those two buildings, we'll be able to report back if any unspent contingency is going to be returned back to the library.
And in the next section, I mean, Steve Thompson from BMC is on the call. We're on target for both East Independence and Riverside, but he can give us an update there. Welcome.
Yeah.
Oh, not,
Go ahead, what?
oh, in a second. Want to move on? Yeah, Jeremy's done.
Okay. Next matter is the report from the building committee.
All right.
I just had the navigator. Looking for the navigator. This is Bob Johnson. We had much of our time, and I'm, or do you want to go to the consultant first and I'll talk about navigator?
Sure. You want to reorder it? Okay, Steve, sorry for cutting you off. If you want to just give us an update on Riverside and East Independence, now would be a good time.
Oh, okay. Riverside, the asphalt is all complete. They were expecting some windows this week, might be next week before they get some of the balance of those. They're starting interior finishes, some painting. Everything is on the roof. It's going according to schedule. They're going to be winterized. They're supposed to get some more the rest of their HVAC all set up in the curtain wall for the front of the library that you can see in that picture. Everything seems to be going smoothly, on schedule and budget. The only unresolved thing that has to be determined is whether we're going to have that lighting pole removed right adjacent to the patio. I do know that there was a savings of $32,000 for permits that was allocated, but Riverside didn't charge anything. So that's money that could be spent or returned to the joint contingency. Independence, the transformer's been set. They will be setting the poles and bringing the wire to the transformer next week. And the gas is to be hooked up today or tomorrow. So they should have their temporary heat going next Monday. So they're pretty much winterized. The painting is continuing. The ceiling is very close to being done. They've done water testing on all of the glass. The composite panels are going on to that north facade. You can see that photo's a little bit late, but the Vestra or the material is made from rice husks, so it's very sustainable. It's the siding that's going to go above that glass that you can see in the photograph in the lower left. All units are on the roof. They're pouring the approach. The final part of the approach to the parking lot will be done tomorrow. And that means site work will wait until springtime, but everything seems to be going fine on that project too.
All right, thank you, Steve.
Certainly. Any questions? Let me know.
And probably, this is Bob again. Much of the time was also taken up in the building committee talking about the actual contract that was before us in terms of the 10-year program for maintenance on existing buildings and and I will talk about this a little. There are 25 projects that are suggested on this plan, and we went through the contract, and I think there were a couple issues raised. Todd Sweeney, I believe, is president of the firm. I can't remember. Navigate is their name. I bet they're based in St. Louis. I thought it was a good presentation made and questions from the committee. I know that we now have a review from our attorney. Is that?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So I think I'll ask Aaron if he wants to, unless you have any questions about, again, if you look at the 25, obviously that doesn't include several of our locations. So that you know I'm not playing favorites. There are no maintenance plans for the city of Lee Summit. So, of course, those are nice facilities right now. So anyway, Any questions about, I know it's, you haven't had it yet, we're going to vote on it. Probably, well, it depends what the board said. Probably our next meeting, we'll have a full discussion here at the board level, but again, basically it's 25 building locations, including the administrative building where we are right now.
Yeah, so anyway, the agreement that was presented, as trustee Johnson said, covered 25 locations. The reasons why it's 25 and not 34 is that we're not looking at the newly built libraries that we have within our system. Much of the renovation work began long ago, and so what we're looking is for a 5 and 10, 15-year kind of projection as to what our maintenance needs are. In the conversation about the agreement, trustees brought up a few issues with the terms, and we heard them loud and clear. We negotiated some changes to the agreement that's attached to board docs. The most significant being the changes to section 6.0, which is termination and suspension. There's some modifications to 6.2 and 3, and the employment provisions, which we all felt needed some change. So we reduced those amounts for the employment fee and the staffing fee by 50%. So unlikely that this will have any material effect on us, but if that turns out to be the case, there's much financial exposure to the library. But we're happy to begin this work, and we think we should be done in early March, late February, early March. And so our plan there is to have a good idea of what our budget needs are for the coming years that can be included in the conversations we have about revenues for the library. So there we are. And if anyone's interested, this agreement is available on board docs and you can review it.
If I could, when Aaron's referencing, there was a section in the proposal that said that should an employee of Navigate end up being employed by the district, we would simply pay them a fee of $90,000 plus $55,000. And we thought that might be a little high. So that was suggested.
Right.
What does that clause have to do with professional services contract?
It's like an anti-poaching provision.
Yeah.
I think a lot of companies do have that. I don't, I've never dealt with that, but regardless, that's been reduced by roughly 50% now, but it's, I've never had to deal with it, but it certainly is in the overall business community.
We did talk about it in the committee, and apparently it is customary to have provisions like this in some agreements. And I certainly understand their position, but nonetheless, the people at Navigate were very accommodating and agreed to all of our changes. We think we have a solid agreement.
So if someone on their staff voluntarily leaves and we just, they happen to get hired here, not through a direct solicitation or other communications, how does that play out? I mean, you can't, I'm not aware that you can legally restrict employees from leaving and going seeking other employment.
Well, it says that a 4-week notice is required. I mean, Jeremy, do you want to share a little bit about your experience with these provisions?
Kind of pull up what we finally landed on.
So
It's a 4-week income notice. I mean, no, not income, 4-week notice of a period for employment.
well, that would, I mean, that's, but again, if somebody voluntarily decides to leave their employment, then they're seeking employment elsewhere.
I might add that.
It just, and anyway, I don't want to get into the weeds here. I think that's.
Yeah, 32nd down and dirty, at least in Missouri, the law is pretty clear that you really can't restrict somebody unless they have the recipe for Coca-Cola, you can't restrict them from employing their profession. So what happens is that you don't get the person who might be leaving and reemployed, but to look to the new employer to recoup the money on that end. So in other words, it's kind of like anti-poaching. Don't steal our people. But I think it's a practical matter, considering the Prompt Hill construction and everything else that's been undertaken. I suspect that the needs for high-level construction folks are probably going to be non-existent.
Yes, we have no plans on adding positions in that area. And remember, the work will be complete February, March of this coming year. So we're not talking about a big span of time.
You're saying their work.
Their work, yes.
So it's during the contract. So this is a short-term contract, or this is an ongoing?
Short, yeah, the work will be done, the contract will be complete by
So,
March.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right,
That's what the owner stated.
all right.
All right.
Any more? Okay, finance and audit?
Yeah, this Gordon Cook, we met earlier this month. I guess we don't have the financial statements available. We talked about, and we have been monitoring the cash flow and line of credit. If we had the operating statement of the general fund, you would see that the drawdown that was anticipated a year ago is nowhere near what we thought it would be. In fact, at the end of October, the draw on the line of credit was $1 million, and Jeremy informed me prior to the meeting that it's currently $2 million. So the biggest drawdown will be this month, and so if we're only at $2 million halfway through the month, or 2/3 of the way through the month, then that'll be substantially less than was originally anticipated. So I commend Aaron for managing the cash flow and the expenses and the structure and taking us out of that need. The operating fund continues to provide the liquidity for the capital fund. It's kind of left pocket, right pocket, but as you're well aware, our bonds are tied up in longer durations in 25 and 26, and we take about a $1.8 million market value hit if we liquidated. We discussed that, and while we could do that and probably recoup it, it would mean that we would hope that the short-term rates, which are currently in the 5.30, 5.40 range, would have to stay well above the 2-year rates, which are about somewhere around 90 basis points less. So if the curve changed, we wouldn't get that back. So we decided we would just monitor it. And if we need liquidity, then we'll deal with it at the time. But we're kind of in this box with the duration mismatch that was put in place either late 21 or early 22. Any questions on that? Okay, the next item is the budget calendar discussion. As you recall, last year an ad hoc committee was formed to recognition, earlier this year. Sorry. Last budget cycle, we had the ad hoc committee, which ended up being a majority of the board. So for this upcoming calendar or this upcoming budget cycle, the finance committee discussed it, and we recommended that it be a full board meeting as opposed to an ad hoc, since the ad hoc is a quorum of the board. So we just do a full board meeting, or not, but a special board meeting for the purpose of discussing the budget cycle, and so the general calendar is to have that initial meeting where Aaron and staff will present their goals and objectives. They will then go through the detailed planning process and budget, which I'm sure they're already started anyway. And then it will proceed through the committees, come back to the ad hoc committee, and wrap up with finance taking kind of a close look as we did last year, and just make sure we cover all the bases. And then it will be presented to the board as a draft in May, obviously with final approval in June. Did I miss anything?
Oh, you got it.
Any questions? Okay, then we talked about the audit. Is there do we have that sheet up here that we talked about in Finance Committee or not?
No, I would.
Not. Okay, so if you look on the Finance Committee agenda, you'll see a history of the audit fees for the last 5 years. Hood and Associates has been doing the audit. It was previous to Hood previously it was Cochran. What's the firm? Cochran Heddenbeck, which was acquired by Hood. So in essence, the same firm was doing it for 15 years, just for the sake of discussion. And the fees are up there. I think they're in the mid 30s to the 40,000 range. And so we had an engagement letter we had a 3-year engagement letter that expired the previous year, that for the current year for the 23 audit. So we're at the end of any commitments on either side. So the recommendation of Jeremy and Aaron is that we would go ahead and put out an RFP for audit services and present that next spring to the committee and bring it back to the board for approval. I don't know who all, we'll see who responds, but it will be open to whoever. Okay. And obviously any CPA firm. Any questions on that? That's all I have. Did I miss anything?
No, you got it. Thank you.
No? Okay. All right.
Any other questions on finance and audit? All right, fundraising development.
All right, we'll have, I'm sorry.
Well, it would technically be me, but I'm very new to that. So I will just say that Aaron and Diana and I have a meeting set to get my feet a little bit more stable under me and understanding what we will be proceeding to do with that committee. So I'm looking forward to that. I think we're going to meet next week. Next week, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So
And it's,
we're gonna give you all the info and.
yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
And just to supplement what Marcy said, we've got 2 things that I'd like the board to be aware of, just in case you get questions from the public. We have 2 fundraising appeals here at the end of the year. So one is Giving Tuesday, which you may know all nonprofits or many nonprofits participate in Giving Tuesday. It is November 28th this year, and we have a very specific campaign to raise money for supplementing Chromebooks for our customers. So the Chromebooks that we have are consistently checked out. And so in a conversation with Brian and his team, they said, look, we could really, use some help and bolster this. And so we felt like this was a good approach for using Giving Tuesday. And we've talked with some of our librarians and customers. And so we just included a few testimonials there, just people who have used our Chromebooks for job advancement when their employers didn't provide a computer, older rural residents who need the Wi-Fi checkouts to update their phones, and then finally another one there, somebody who needed to complete some work tasks but didn't have it, and so they were pleasantly surprised that we had that option. So, but again, Brian, how many Chromebooks do we have in circulation presently?
About 150.
About 150. So this will, supplement with 100 when we reach our goal. So we did get a Missouri State Library grant to help us get there. Our goal is $29,000. That is a social media campaign that's happening. So if you get questions, you can answer those. So I'm happy to provide you with any additional information. I will say that we have 2 library champions who just are asked us what we need help with, and they're sitting right next to me, Carla and Brad Hughes. I don't want to embarrass them, but they came. We had a conversation over email, and I let them know about this campaign, and they gave us a really, really great boost in going in with the public. So we are very close to being at our goal, thanks to Brad and Carla. And I will mention that in addition, they also let them know that our Forever Book Fund was very low. That's the fund that we purchased the books to give away to kids at the Reading Rocket visits. So they gave us a very generous gift for the Forever Book Fund and are helping us launch a children's author program series in the spring. So thank you, Brad and Carla. And I'll also mention the foundation is doing a direct mail appeal to about 15,000 households. That is just a general operating support appeal. So the funds that are raised there will do various things throughout the year. So that is a print piece that's going into mailboxes. So some of you may have received those in your mailbox. But if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you.
Comment? So just saying, I got my letter in the mailbox today, so,
Okay, good.
Yeah.
It made it.
yeah, they made it.
Got mine last week. One quick question. So the Chromebooks, I think you said the budget, 29,000 was what you?
$29,000 is our goal to add 100 Chromebooks.
400, so, okay. So I was kind of looking for about how much a piece if somebody wanted to say.
We can
Sponsor,
give you
yeah.
the exact.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, that's where I
I
was
can
going.
do that math.
I can do that.
I can do all that.
We know it all.
I can tell you that they are Dell 3110S.
Yeah, they're special, so they fit in a nice case and they have all the stuff in there with it and instructions for usage and everything. So it's several pieces that go together to make the whole kit. So, yeah.
So I have a question. So as computers are checked out, are they returned generally in good shape? Is that a problem?
Yeah,
So
they
that's
are.
good.
They are. People tend to take pretty good care of them. So,
I was
yeah.
just curious. Yeah. Great.
All right, thank you.
I might also add that it wasn't part of the official agenda, but my monthly shameless information bit, the Library Lovers is a wonderful adjunct to what's done at the library, and very, very entertaining and beneficial programs are put on. So I would strongly recommend that.
Rumor has it you guys had a nice event the other day at Green Hills.
Yeah.
If you guys want to know more about it, you can all join.
Anything further? Personnel committee?
Personnel committee met and went over some HR issues and I over you and Jennifer present.
I can't hear you.
They met and went over the right up here. The health insurance review and employee benefits.
I don't know much, but I know about this.
Yes.
So I'm Jennifer Ridley. I'm the HR director for Mid-Continent. On the next slide, just has some bullet points about health insurance for MCPL full-time staff. They are insured via the Cost Plus program through KC. Using this program, the library pays Blue Cross to access the network, process our claims, and to insure us against major losses. Doing it this way, we're able to be flexible with our plan design and employee premium contributions in order to control the costs for the library and our staff. And instead of paying an entire premium to Blue KC, we pay for the claims as they're processed and retain any savings in the health insurance fund, which we were looking at earlier. We have a healthy reserve in that health insurance fund due to how the plan has financially performed. The data that we get to review on, the aggregate data that we review on how our employees use their health insurance show that they access preventive care and have at least an annual visit with a primary care physician at a higher rate than comparable groups. And our covered employees also access emergent and urgent care in responsible ways by using urgent care clinics and telehealth, which and then saving the ER for when it is the the most necessary and best option. And that helps overall control costs of the plan. Visit to the hospital, the ER could be a significant bump to those claims costs. And employees receive education about wellness and also the best way to use their health plan through our wellness specialist and our benefits manager on the HR team. Because the plan has performed the way it has, it's allowing us to have no changes to plan design or premium contributions for 2024. We went over everything. We do analysis with our benefits consultant locked in, and we determined that it adjusted to the individual pooling amount, the individual deductible that the library pays. This isn't for staff. That we would that it has the greater potential to be the best bet for the library if we go to $125,000 per person for 2024. This will have us paying significantly less premium, which is half to money that we have to pay out, and has the potential for us to retain more savings on the claims side. So every year we run our claims data through a Monte Carlo analysis provided by Locked In to determine what deductible level would be the best bet for the library. And it is a bet. You could have a big year in claims. Nobody knows what's going to happen health-wise with folks, but we have lots of aggregate data that we're able to use. With these changes, we're going to be able to be under the budget for contributions to health insurance fund and on track to remain on budget for the total payroll and benefits budget for 23-24. Next slide. This is just a numbers breakdown for determining, affordability for the health insurance contribution we make to the health insurance fund and how much we put in there, how much employee contributions are. This top grid starts with the balance the fund balance as of September 30th, adding the funding for the remaining 9 months of the fiscal year, the projected costs, which come from this bottom grid here. We have an updated projection of costs for the fiscal year in September, and that's the remaining 9 months of the year, the costs in addition to the employee contributions, and so how much we need to take from the budget and how much would come from the fund. Goes on this line up here, so that the projected balance on June 30th is $1,174,603. This calculation here is based on the board's policy for what the minimum and maximum balance should be in the health insurance fund, and the projection is putting it slightly above that maximum, but not in a super material way. So, we should probably see that draw down to the maximum. Okay, any questions at this point?
If it does go over, what are the ramifications?
That's an internal policy. Since we are a public, a government entity, our plan is not subject to ERISA and the same regulations that are required, like to keep the statutorily have to keep the fund in between those two amounts. That's a guide for the board to say that we have enough money in the health insurance fund to pay the claims, not just the claims that we know about, but the claims that we don't know about if we were to end the health insurance fund and go to a different method of providing health insurance for library staff. Yeah.
I have a couple of questions. One, can you back up on the slides? You mentioned 125 per person. Is that the attachment point for the excess? Because I thought last year you were 70 or 70?
75.
75, so you went up 55. So that is, is that when you say per person, is that per insured employee or is that per person unit? So if somebody has.
Per covered member. So it may be someone's child or spouse, or it may be an employee, but it's per covered person.
So theoretically, a family of four could have a $500,000 cost, correct?
Yes.
All right. So now go back to the other slide. What is so is there an aggregate?
There is.
What's the exposure now?
There is not on this slide. I'd have to pull the cost plus contract.
So how does your new structure compare to the old? I guess that's my question, because we don't.
To change the maximum claims, the maximum claims liability does go up in terms of our total exposure. Right. So that does go up because there is this per person pooling level or deductible, however you want to. There's different language for it. There is that, but there's also the aggregate point. What happens when a person hits that deductible, that means that we've paid that much in claims on behalf of that person for the calendar year. At that point, our stop loss coverage kicks in with Blue Cross, and Blue Cross covers the rest of their claims for that year at 100% instead of the library paying for them. There is also an aggregate amount for the entire year that comes out of that contract, but I can get that amount.
Well, and that's the reason. I think for the board, I mean, this to me is just a funding analysis, but I think the board needs to understand what the exposure and what the risk is from the financial side, because if you're taking on a $50,000 per person additional risk, and then there's also the aggregate retention. And is there an aggregate on what Blue Cross will pay, or is that?
What they will pay? No.
There's not?
No.
Okay, so that can be
It's a gamble for both of us, just like insurance.
Pardon me?
I said it's a gamble for both of us, just like.
Well, no, I get that. But I mean, they take the additional cost on a per person basis, but is there when you look at the library's we don't have an aggregate on how much we can retain. Is that correct?
Do you mean how much we have to pay out?
Yes, at the library level.
Yes. So there's a maximum amount.
There is. Okay.
Yeah, for the whole group.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then does the excess policy have a limit as well?
No.
Does not.
Okay. Blue Cross would pay?
Yes.
No.
Okay. So I would like to see that analysis in terms of what the exposure or what the risk is to the library, just so the board understands that we went from plan A to plan A to plan B.
Sure.
We have
we can share that, and Aaron can decide the best way to do that. We get that information. Of course we have the contract, but we also get that analysis from Lockton. So we looked at 50,000, 75,000, 100,000, and 125. And they run it through thousands of scenarios through the Monte Carlo analysis. And that's what we use to determine, because this is all a gamble. We want to come in with the best financial outcome for the library. So we continue to offer health insurance and do it in a way that doing it this way has enabled us to do since 2011 and retain those savings. So, but yeah, we can do that however we want to get that information.
All right. Just one more thing. I mean, in addition to thinking about the risk to the library, we also talked at length about the benefit to our employees. And other options were considered, but it was our opinion that going this route was the most beneficial to our employees. Other options included us. Forgive me if my memory is fuzzy, but it would take some of our providers offline. I remember the original proposal.
Yes, we always look at multiple options when we go into renewing for health insurance, like most employers do. And so, yeah, we looked at some of Blue Cross's options where they have a narrower network, so you have fewer providers to choose from, where those that has the potential to save money on claims and premium. However, those plans don't account for currently yet how widespread our employees are. So there's a lot of concentration for those providers. I mean, particularly in Johnson County, there's a lot of choice. There's a lot of choice in part of Jackson County, part of Clay County. When you start getting into Clay County and north, the choice kind of goes down on those narrow network plans. And in eastern Jackson County, the options go down. So, we have to kind of consider everything, not just what, the bottom dollar for the library.
We'll get that information to you so you can take a look at it. Thank you, Jennifer.
There's one more slide if we want to look back.
Please.
It's kind of, it's just a quickie. This is just a review of the other benefits. Dental and vision insurance still remain with Blue Cross this year. We went out to market last year for those. They're on a multi-year contract, so we're still with them. Life and long-term disability insurance remains with Unum because we're on a multi-year rate guaranteed contract. Some other benefits that we offer staff at their expense, but they have the benefit of paying, having access to this coverage at group rates and at with payroll deduction. We have legal and identity theft insurance, pet insurance through Nationwide, and all of Aflac's products, so different types of disability insurance, hospitalization, accident insurance, all the things that Duck offers. We have an employee assistance program that we pay for staff, which is really helpful to provide more counseling services and also referral services for staff. This benefit is for all staff, including part-time staff. And it is it's turned out to be, over time, a really cost-effective way to deliver benefits that staff need when they need them, at no cost to them, and at a cost for us that shifts some of that cost from the health plan to professionals that just deliver this service. So that's helpful for us. We also have Loggers Retirement, which Joycelyn is going to talk about. She went to that meeting. And we offer a 457B retirement savings plan. We offer that for all staff as well. We don't do a match or anything, but we offer that through Empower Retirement to enable staff to save additionally for their retirement if they choose. Questions for me? More questions for me? Thank you.
Anything else from personnel? Any questions?
We should cover that. On the other, I was able to attend the Loggers annual meeting, done that for the last few years, and I'm very proud to say that our investment in our employees' retirement is well taken care of. In the state of Missouri, Loggers, if you know it, they handle a lot of the law enforcement and first responders in the state of Missouri. And the library is fortunate to be part of that system. They have 29,500 benefit recipients in the state of Missouri. What I found interesting was 374 ages 90 to 99. And 9 of them are over 100 years old. Yeah. One is 103. So if you work for the library, maybe you'll live longer. 5,200 were eligible last year, and 6,300 will be eligible in the next 2 years. So it's important, if you're going to live that long, that we take steps to take care of you in your elder years. The impact of retiree benefits in the state of Missouri, those retirement benefits, $422 million a year is reinvested into Missouri. Our retirees tend to stay here. So when they get their retirement benefits, they reinvest it into businesses and into Missouri. Over $25 million in annual benefit payments. Between 15 and 25 million in annual benefit payments. And they show the map here. If you so wants this, I'll give it to you. Show you where the money is being spent, and it's being spent throughout Missouri. Most of them, like in the Springfield area and this area. Over the last 20 years, it's had steady growth in assets. It is currently sitting at 10.3 billion in assets. So it's very well funded. It has a 95.1% funding ratio, which if you know anything about funding ratio for retirement plans, that's very good. Most of the investment return and funding sources are coming, 72 cents on the dollar is coming from the investment returns, with 2% of that coming from member contributions. So members, when they contribute, there's a lot of investment returns, a lot of employers' contribution goes towards that as well. The takeaways on investments is that like I said, assets as of June 30th this year was 10.352 billion, or 10.3 billion. The net return is positive 4.3%. So they've been well invested over the years. Their structure is changing a little bit. They hired a board investment consultant And their internal systems of decision-making structures are being expanded. They make their decisions based on what's best for the recipient and what makes for a strong, stable system. One more thing, I'm not gonna go into as much detail as I've gone before. Couple of things to watch for in the Missouri State Legislature. I know some of you are interested in that. The loggers didn't sponsor any legislation in 2003. No bills that were passed over this legislative session that were negative towards the logger system. Loggers actively worked on ESG investment issues in both the House and the Senate. They're looking to change some things in the board structure. They want to enhance the goal of the initiatives to enhance the representation of the system's 35,000 active members, 29,000 retirees, and 9,000 deferred members. So they're looking at statutory changes to amend the board composition to replace one of the employer trustees with a retiree trustee. It makes sense that if this is a retirement program, we should have a representative from the retiree. They want to amend employer trustee definition to allow for executive level employer representatives to serve. Doesn't affect us, but some places, the person who is the employer representative is also a member of the logger system, and right now you can't be that. You can't do both. So they're gonna look at changing that. Looking forward to 2024. The goal will be to increase accessibility, transparency, and participation of loggers' membership in Board of Trustees elections. So they want to remove some statutory requirements for loggers' elections, allowing loggers' Board of Trustees to promulgate election rules. They're also looking to clean up language and technical language in the loggers program, just general things, and they want to clean up the divorce pop-up provision to make that more accessible to retirees. They're looking at just various other bills, but that's the main things that I have some specifics on. So the bottom line is our retirees are living long and healthy in retirement. They are using our retirement system to its fullest, and the retirement system is well cared for them when they get to that age. Any questions?
Questions, comments? Okay, thank you. Technology Committee?
Brian, did you have anything? We don't have anything to.
Okay, thank you. Librarians report.
All right. Okay, next slide. Is I want to talk about boards, the Youth Services Associate at the Lee Summit branch. We're acknowledging her good work today. She's an amazing worker. She goes above and beyond for her patrons, and just does a great work collaborating with her coworkers. I had the pleasure of speaking with staff out at Lee Summit. I got to say, they're an absolutely committed and passionate group of people, and I really enjoyed my conversation with them. And I was lucky to be there on a day that they all baked cookies and all sorts of things, and it was just a wonderful day to be there. But a great staff and a great branch manager. So thank you to Clea and everyone else who works at Lee Summit. Next slide, please. Okay, so in our monthly report today, there's some great things to look at. There's one program in particular that I'm calling the Robot Babies Program, but it's not really robots. In Northern Platte County, the Dearborn branch is doing a program for teens. It's a child development class in Northern Platte. And they're teaching young people kind of the importance of early childhood literacy and story time. It's called the Real Care Babies program. And I've heard a lot about it from Tiara, who's the manager up there. And it's a great initiative, and we're happy that we can make it happen. Another thing of note is me and a few of the staff members, Richie, Kristen, and Teresa, all went on a walk to school today in Clay County. Got to admit, I was like, I'm not really sure I want to do this, and I went and I had a total blast. When I presented to the Clay County Commission, I was fortunate to meet Laura Foster, who's the principal of Ravenwood Elementary, and she invited me to come. And huge library supporters, looking forward to partnering with the library. We met the new Clay County Sheriff, and it was just a wonderful time. So we walked alongside a marching band and a bunch of young people all the way to school. It was a lot of fun. And then lastly, on October 21st, we did our annual Lit Up Teen Literature program. And that one in particular is just truly an amazing program. If you haven't attended, I encourage you to do so next year. It's going to be fantastic. But what you will see is maybe 300 or so teenagers gathered on a Saturday morning to talk about literature. And that to me just says it all, right? The young people are still very passionate about fiction, about libraries, and about gathering together in person. So it was a magnificent program, and hats off to the staff. The logistics and everything that's done to make a program like that possible is quite complicated, and they just did a magnificent job. So had a great time there, and looking forward to next year. Next year is going to be bigger and better. All right, so as you all know, each month we bring a guest, come and say some words to us, and typically those are the people that work on the front lines. And I was talking with Richie, that we also often lose sight of those that make all this possible. And the first name that came to mind was Gary Colby. He's our delivery services manager. And what that means is he's responsible for getting books into your hands. So Gary is going to say a few words. We're going to show a little behind the scenes video about Gary's work. So Gary, welcome.
Hi, thank you for letting me come up tonight. My name is Gary Covey. I am the delivery service warehouse manager. I've been here for 9 years next month. And like Aaron was saying, we made a little video to show you sort of what we do back there. We have currently 11 employees back there, including myself, my assistant manager, Deidre. We have 3 drivers, Mark, Janet, and Monica. I also have 3 sorters, Alec, Brooke, and JW. These guys do an amazing job back there. I mean, they don't stop till we are done. I have a warehouse associate, Robert. He just retired last Wednesday after 16 years. So we're currently trying to fill this position now. But we do about 125 miles round trip on each delivery. These guys start at 5, or my drivers start at 5 a.m. They work from 5 to 1:30. My dock workers come in from 7 to 4. Deidre and I come here about 5:30. Deidre comes in about 7. So we pretty much got it all covered. We do about anywhere between 925 to almost 1,000 totes a week that we pick up combined from north route, south route, and the central northeast route. So imagine 1,000 totes, all the books that are in them. That's not including booking, print shop, or any other special deliveries and things that we pick up. But other than that, I'm going to show you just a quick little video of what we do back here in delivery services.
I have a total of 11 employees in my department, including myself and the assistant manager. On our daily basis, all 3 drivers come in at 5 a.m. They will do a quick inventory of what they've got so they know what they're delivering, then they're off. One goes north route, one will run a south route, and then one will run central northeast route. 2 out of the 3 drivers, they're usually back by 6:45, 7 a.m. Once the trucks get unloaded from the first route, the people on dock will help the drivers reload so they can get out on their second route, because we have approximate time schedules that we have to try to deliver by. Our sorters, they come in at 7, they're here till 4.
I'm Alec, I'm a delivery sorter here. I started about 2 months ago, and we sort all the books, all the holds that come in from branches throughout the entire system. They come in the morning on the trucks with the drivers, and we sort them into gurneys, and after that we then sort them by specific branch and get them ready to go and put it into the trucks for the following day. And it's just the same routine every day, making sure that all the holds from different branches are processed correctly and efficiently and getting to where they need to go.
I'm JW, I've been here for like almost 5 years, delivery sorting, just making sure everyone gets all their materials, the floats and stuff goes to other branches. We make sure that all the new stuff gets sent out on time for everybody, and all the events, we work with booking and tech services and ILL, so we're in with everybody here. So.
I'm Deidre Brown, I work for delivery service. I'm the assistant manager.
Deidre and I, we take care of UPS that comes in on a daily basis, the mail that comes in on a daily basis, Amazon, any freight that comes in. We also will separate the mail, we will separate UPS, we will also deliver to any of the departments that receives packages. In the warehouse, on a daily basis, the employee comes in at 7 a.m., there till 4. He receives all incoming used furniture from other branches. He also receives any donations. He also will schedule trucks for the boxes that they have sorted for weeding or MPLD. He will also help cover the drivers in case of emergencies, or he will actually go out and pick up any withdrawals or weeding. So this is just a small sample of the day in the life of delivery services.
If you don't have any questions, I'm glad to answer.
Quick note about the warehouse shot. So it looked a little crowded in there, but the story is that we were prepping for an auction. So a lot of that stuff that you saw in the video is now gone, and reports are in that we made good return on that auction. So, but anyway, Gary, thanks a lot. When I first arrived here, it was crappy weather. It was mid-January. And I'm from Cleveland, as you know, and the weather, like, there's a little bit of snow, but I'm like, oh, it's not that bad. And Susan's like, no, you don't get it. Like, the street clearing is different because we're in 3 counties. So delivery guys that go up north at 5 a.m., they're driving to Weston and Dearborn, and it's like a sheet of ice up there. And as we're talking, I'm looking at the clock, and it's 6 o'clock, and you guys start at 5. I just felt awful, but now, but he made the call. I mean, they weren't on the road, but nonetheless, they're up at the crack of dawn, making all of this possible for us. So, very thankful for your work. It's a very efficient operation there.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
awesome.
Thank you.
And that concludes my report. We do have some announcements, but is that next? Yeah, so, I think Joycelyn did that. Do you want to repeat your Malagas report? No. Okay, so we got that covered. That was very good. Under announcements, I just want to bring a few things to everybody's attention. Obviously, we'll be closed on Thanksgiving, but we're going to have a special buildings committee meeting on December 6th, which will replace our normally scheduled meeting on the 28th. And also we'll be closed on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve. Oh, no, not New Year's Eve. We close at 5 at New Year's Eve and on New Year's Day. And just to kind of put a bookend on Michael's remark, it is a good exercise to think about what we're grateful for. I can't thank you all enough for the trustees that support this work that we do and the staff that just come in every day and serve the public. It's truly an honor to work here, and I'm grateful to be a part of this team. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
If I could just add to the timing of that special meeting.
Yeah.
It's at noon and not 10.
All right.
Let's just take care of Mike.
It's on that.
Yeah, we'll make that change.
Thanks, Bob. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, next matter is trustees' comments. Who's first?
I'll make a comment. I worked in a warehouse over the years and working and, familiar with all his stuff, getting up at those early dawn hours, getting everything ready to go. So, that's the bones. That's the inner working, the bowels, if you will, of the whole system. And those guys deserve a lot of credit for just keeping things rolling, and to see that report, it just reminds me again, it's like, that's where I started, And so it's really worth telling those folks how valuable they are, to the whole system, that they're churning stuff, getting stuff going when nobody's even awake yet.
Right.
So, Mike, so kudos to those guys and their staff and all the crew in there. It's really awesome.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I just wanted to thank you guys for coming and for donating to the library. It's very nice to have your support. Thank you for presenting.
Other comments? Please.
So I had a busy week last week. I'm still kind of trying to get around and see libraries I've never seen and so on. And Thursday, I had the pleasure of attending one of the library lovers events at Green Hills, the culinary event. We learned about masa. I'm sorry to say I didn't know what that was till then. So I learned at the library. Brought my one of my sons with me, a special needs kiddo, and we sat next to Ron and his wife, and we learned how to make tortillas. And it was just a wonderful experience. And what an incredible, beautiful facility that is. Friday, got to see the rededication at North Oak. That was a wonderful event, and I got to meet Lauren there. And then Saturday, I attended the local authors event up at Woodneath. And again, my first visit to that facility. And found myself spending way more time there than I thought I would. To protect him. Coming home, are you calling? But no, I'm just going to live here because this is gorgeous. Fabulous is a perfect word for that. And kudos to the library for the choice in the author who came to speak at the Storyteller series, the author series. Really was enjoyable to listen to him speak. So the other comment that I was going to make is, the new program guide is out, I noticed, and I got so excited about this culinary center programs, and then I was both disappointed and delighted to find out that everyone I wanted to register for is already booked. And the wait list is booked in some cases, and I think that speaks very highly to the quality of programming that the library is engaged in. It says certainly to me that you're providing programming that our community not only is interested in, but really is clamoring for and wants. And so I think that's fantastic. And I hope you'll express to all of your staff who programs those out that is amazing. I am on the wait list. We'll just see how many of those things it shows out. And next time I will be waiting to sign up as soon as that catalog comes out.
Maybe we could get some type of benefit for, we could get like some type of early sign up.
Oh, and one last thing, I love this list that which are the most sought after books. Now I can see why I'm going to be waiting about 15 weeks for David Grand's The Wager. So that's good to see. Good stuff.
All right, thank you. Any other ones? Please.
I just wanted to piggyback what you're saying about the North Oak opening. There was a young lady there that spoke, a sixth grader, that stole the show.
Yeah.
I thought I was one of the biggest library lovers and supporters out there, but she's the next generation coming up. Just a really well-spoken, she's part of their exceptionally gifted program. But her passion for libraries was clear.
Yeah.
And I just really enjoyed listening to her.
Yeah.
Other comments?
Yeah, one last, I'd like to thank you two again, just for the way you sow into the library and into people's lives. So, and thank you so much. We appreciate you guys very, very much.
The comments? I'd just like to mention another activity that the library sponsored since the last meeting, and that was a veterans writers group. The library has been very, very instrumental and supportive in that effort. It was originally conducted through the headquarters of the Veterans of Foreign War, downtown Kansas City. It's since branched out with great support by the district as well as collaborative efforts with the Kansas City, Missouri Public Library. We had an incredible workshop about a month and a half ago at Woodneath, and we meet on a monthly basis. And the aspirations that we could have more of a collaborative, family-friendly effort with, especially the Story Center, what Mark does up there. It's absolutely beyond words that I can find to show how much we appreciate that. Also, Mark works with the Missouri Humanities Commission, I believe. And to tie into North Oak, Emily did, as usual, the past 30 times, just an absolutely amazing, wonderful, happy time for the event. I guess the last comments when Gary was here, I mean, looking at the dreadful 4:30, that's a Spartan effort to do it once, but the guy does it every day. It's heroic beyond any measure. And I guess the last point is thanks to our director for having introduction to the folks that we don't see all the time that are doing so much behind the scene.
Appreciate that.
Amen to that.
Trustees' comments further. Right, last agenda is adjournment, so may we have a motion, please?
I would make a motion that we adjourn.
Second?
I second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.